Hello students, Dr. Wang is here recording. In this video clip, we are going to finish the Excel project 4 and the topic is portfolio management. The portfolio basically means a combination of stocks, bonds, or any financial assets that you hope could generate return with a limited amount of risk. So right here, we're looking at two stocks. One stock is called Amazon and another stock is Microsoft. You probably have heard both of them or using the products of both of the companies. And the steps you need to take here is first to calculate the annual returns, right? Calculate annual returns. Right here, if you observe, you will see the returns, the stock prices are in dollar figures and they are at a different amount. Okay, so Amazon comes with hundreds of dollars and Microsoft comes with dozens of dollars. So if you just compare the prices, the dollar figures, it's not really an apple-to-apple comparison. So you need to convert all the prices to returns in percentage to make it apple-to-apple comparison. And then you need to create a portfolio with an equal weight to both stocks. So you're going to put 50% of your investment in Amazon and the other 50% in Microsoft. And upon the construction of the portfolio, you will need to calculate the returns, standard deviation, and coefficient variation for the portfolio, and also do it for the individual stocks if you like. And the last step is to get the optimal weight for your portfolio. Let's say maybe 50% is not the best combination. Your best combination may be 30%, 70%, 40%, or 60%. It really depends on what kind of assets allocation would yield the best risk and return combination. So this is what we're doing in this project. All right, so step number one, let's generate the returns. So I want you guys to just copy the title and then paste it next to it. So then you need to calculate the returns. The return is actually pretty easy to calculate. So you're going to use the new price minus the old price, okay, and then divided by the old price. So don't forget to use the parentheses. So if you want to calculate the return of Amazon for October the 14th, so you're gonna need this price, okay, minus the old price, or the difference, don't forget to put parentheses, divided by the price in the last period. Okay, so here you get negative 3% or negative 2.9%. All right, sounds fair? You can also just do this. With the return calculation, it can also be calculated as new divided by old and then minus 1. So basically, it's just math. You can use the new divided by the old, okay, the minus 1. This is easier. You don't have to put parentheses. You don't have to do the extra typing of buttons. All right, although the formula is very simple, I still require you to memorize it, and also there are some places you can possibly make mistake. Some people do old minus new instead of a new minus old, and some people use the new price as the denominator instead of using the old price. So you just always remember it is new minus old, the difference divided by the old. If you don't prefer the word new and old, you can always use the later price. Okay, later price minus earlier price divided by earlier price. Okay, so that's another way to memorize it. Back to our sample here. For Amazon, we just calculate its return for October the 2014. All right, and then I'm going to drag it. So you will see the same calculation is applied using Microsoft prices. And then I will just drag it all the way down, down, and down until I reach the last row. Okay, so you will see the returns are being calculated for different months for both stocks. All right, the only thing that would raise a suspicion is why do you have this invalid output? The reason is if you drag it down to the very last row, you are using the data right here in this cell. That basically is a 0. If you divide anything by 0, you're going to get an invalid output. So this says discounted by 0. So all we need to do here just to delete, okay, delete them. So now you have the returns for both stocks. The next step is to get the portfolio. And if you want to get the portfolio, I want you to make sure you will assign the weights for both stocks. So for now, the stocks weights are 50% and 50%. Okay, so if you have $100, $50 is put in Amazon, and then the other 50 is put in Microsoft. However, I want you to insert a formula behind this second 50%. I want it to be this 50, okay, 1 minus that 50. All right, so this is a formula I want you to put in there. It's 1 minus or 100% minus that figure. So if I change to 30%, that will change to 70. If I change to 40%, this will change to 60. All right, and then I want you to calculate the portfolio return for each period. So how to get a portfolio return? So half of your return will come from Amazon's return. Okay, so I use Amazon's return times its 50% weight, plus this Microsoft return times this Microsoft weight. Since I'm going to drag it all the way down, I will shift the returns for different periods, but I will not shift the weights. I want to keep using the two cells here and here. So what I'm going to do is to lock the two cells where I put the weights. So when I drag it down, those cells will be kept locked. So what I did there is to hit the hotkey F4. Okay, F4 is the hotkey. Or you can just manually type the $sign and the $sign in front of the letter and the row number. Okay, so here the decimal is ridiculously large. Just shrink it, okay, decrease the decimal, and then I just double click. I got a portfolio return for all the rest month. Okay, so what you see here is your portfolio return is made of the return of both stocks combining the weight. So it's the weighted average return for the stocks. Okay, so if you look at the last one, so half of your return come from 14% of a Microsoft, sorry, that's Amazon, and half a percent come from this 0.7% negative from Microsoft. All right. Okay, so the next step is to analyze the risk and return feature of the stocks as well as the portfolio. So what I'm going to do here is to select all the rows, because I'm not going to use every rows here, and it just hurt my view if I keep scrolling up and down, right? So I'm going to select all the rows and then hit data, and we learned this skill in our first Excel project. I'm going to click this group function. Okay, click this group button, and then I will see a button 1 and button 2. If I hit button 1, then the rows I selected are hidden, not disappeared, not deleted, but hidden. If I hit button 2, then all the rows are expanded, just appear. So this is a view I really like to see. So what I'm going to do next is to get the expected return. Okay, or just expected return, and the standard deviation, which is the measurement for risk, and also coefficient of variation. Okay, CV stands for coefficient of variation. So the expected return basically is the average of all the returns included from the last month to the first month. All right. So you see, it looks like I only selected 2 cells, but actually it's 31 cells from a D2 to a D32. Right. So I'm actually selecting 31 months of data. All right. So that's the 1.7%. I just drag it all the way. So I got the average of the returns for Microsoft for 31 months. I got an average for the portfolio returns as well. The standard deviation is also pretty easy to calculate. Use STDEV, right? That is for standard deviation. Once again, you gotta select your data range. It is going to be from D2 to D32. Once again, that's 31 month of data. All right, hit enter, and then edit as a percentage. all right, and then drag it all the way. So I got the portfolio and the Microsoft risk as well. The coefficient variation is a standard deviation divided by the expected return. All right. Well, once again, it just comes with a very crazy large number, with crazy long number, I would say. So I just need to decrease the decimal. All right. So what happens here is if you look at Amazon, if you look at the risk and return combination, the CV is a 4.28. That means the risk is 4 times larger than the return. And for the Microsoft, the situation is a bit better. Although Microsoft does not have a high return as Amazon, you see 1.4 is less than 1.7. Also, Microsoft has lower risk than Amazon. You see 5.1% standard deviation is lower than 7.1. If you combine risk and return, get the ratio for Microsoft is better than Amazon. You see, if you combine risk over return, you want this ratio, which is a CV, you want this ratio to be as low as possible. So you want the numerator to be low and the denominator to be high, right? You want to have a low risk and high return. So lower number is better. What is best is a portfolio CV. If you combine both, you will see that the expected return for the portfolio is cut in the middle, is cut in between 1.7 and 1.4, whereas the risk is lower than either of the two. Okay, so that's basically the beauty of diversification. You do not compromise, you do not sacrifice your return for the portfolio, but you do get a huge benefit by reducing the overall risk of the portfolio. And this risk of the portfolio is lower than each of the individual stock risk. And also, if you look at the CV, which is the risk over return, this number is the lowest for the portfolio. So that's the job of financial managers. For hedge fund managers, pension fund, mutual fund managers, all we need to do is to assign the weights, to combine the stocks. So if you just play with Amazon or just play with Microsoft, you do not have a risk return combination. But if you play both stocks or diversify away your investment by adding even more stocks, like 3 stocks, 4 stocks, or 10 stocks, your overall risk would be reduced. All right, so that's your second step. The last step is, should we change the weight from 50% to some other number? So if I change 60 to 40%, well, you see my CV actually get higher or get worse. If I change to a 70 to 30, so it's even worse. All right, so what should I do here? What would be the best combination? What would be the best assets allocation? So the word here is called assets allocation. So what's a smart weight I should put in here to reach the best risk and return combination? Well, I can spend the entire day here just to type in different numbers and try to record the CV to see wherever is the lowest. Okay, I just keep trying on and on for the whole day. But that's not exactly what I want you guys to do. We should rely on the computer power to do the computation for us. In other words, we will do the optimization. Okay, the optimization will give the best CV for the portfolio. So how can we do that? I want you guys to use the solver function of Excel. So you need to first install solver. So here are the exact steps you need to follow. You need to hit File, and then hit Options. All right, and then you will see Add-ins. Okay, you see Add-ins is right here. Okay. Oops. And then do you see the Manage Add-ins? Click Go. All right, and right here you have different tool packs. I want you to hit Solver Add-in. Make sure this is checked, and then hit OK. All right, now something has changed. If I go to the Data tab, I will see Solver is right here. Okay, Solver is right here. Now let's click on that one. Okay, so the solver basically is asking you, what is your objective? My objective is to reach the best risk-return combination of the portfolio. With that being said, I want this CV of the portfolio to be the lowest. So it's a minimization problem. I'm going to minimize this portfolio CV. All right. And how can I achieve that goal? I can do nothing to change the return of Microsoft or Amazon or their risks because that's really depending on the market. As an individual investor, I cannot change the risk and return characteristics of individual stocks. But what I can do is to assign the weight smartly. Okay, right here is 20/80 or 50/50 or 40/60. So I'm going to change. Okay, I'm going to change the weights right here for Amazon. Okay, so that's the setup. It's pretty simple, right? I want to minimize the portfolio CV, okay, to a lowest value. And how can I achieve that goal? I just need to change the weight of Amazon. All right, and then hit solve. Okay, and keep solver solution. Right here, you will see that 2.8 is the best CV I can get for my portfolio. All right, 2.8. So in order to reach that part, I need to select, so the CV basically, the solver basically gives me a weight for Amazon that is 36%. You can see this pretty large, long number. It is definitely generated by the computer. And then Microsoft will change automatically. So after the weights are changed automatically, the portfolio return for each month will change automatically. So do the expected return and the standard deviation for the portfolio. And in that case, my CV has changed to a new level, which is the lowest among all possible solutions. So 2.8 is what you have seen. And then I expand my area. So you will see that all the returns will be adjusted based on the weights for the portfolio. And then that's my new weights.